Clay, you're an entrepreneur. I'm an entrepreneur. And as they say in Stoic, the obstacle is the way. And so if you let these pinheads get in your way, you're in trouble. Acta non verba is the motto of the U.S. Merchant Marine Academy at Kings Point, New York. I had appointments to Naval Academy and Kings Point Merchant Marine Academy. And Merchant Marine Academy's motto was acta non verba. In other words, don't listen to what a person says. Watch what they do. Clay, my honor to be on your show. And thank you for all you do. I hear the ripple effects from you are good ripple effects. You know what I mean? People rave about what they learn from you. So congratulations.
My name is Kevin Thomas, and the name of our company is MultiClean. We are a commercial janitorial service, and we serve the entire state of Oklahoma and Kansas and soon to be Arkansas. We have probably grown probably 5 times. We've added, I think when we first started with you, we had 60 to 65 employees. And now we have a little over 300 employees. Before we got involved with Thrive Time, we didn't really have any systems or processes in place. I've probably been to, in 6-7 years, I've probably been to 12 to 13 business conferences. And amazingly, each time I go, I learn something new, and I'm so excited to bring it back and show the team about marketing and how to implement, how to help you guys implement the SEO. And the coaching is just great because there's accountability, and it's just a fantastic way to grow your company. Having a relationship with Thrive Time it's just been amazing for MultiClean. Oh my goodness, it frees me up because then I don't have to take a class on search engine optimization or learn marketing or shoot video. That's not what we do. What we do is commercial janitorial service. And you guys are the experts on marketing, and you teach me and hold my hand and show me how to do it right. And therefore, now my company is much, much larger.
Folks, on today's show, we're joined by a real client. He may look like a male model. He may look like a hologram, but he's a real person. He's a longtime client. He's a man that we consider to be a friend of the Thrive Time Show and a friend of mine. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the show, Kevin. Welcome on to the Thrive Time Show. How are you, sir?
Clay, I'm doing great. Had a great Christmas holiday, and I'm glad to be here.
Okay, so first question, can you tell us what is your name, first and last name, and what's the name of your company, sir?
My name is Kevin Thomas, and the name of our company is MultiClean. We are a commercial janitorial service, and we serve the entire state of Oklahoma and Kansas and soon to be Arkansas.
And how long have we worked with you approximately at this point, sir?
It's been about 6-7 years.
You know, it does no good to talk about making America great again if Americans are not doing great. What makes America great? The middle class.
Yep.
Having ownership of things, actually having a dream and a vision that the lower rungs on the ladder are there so that you can climb. Later in your life, you'll be further and your kids will stand on your shoulders and see further. And that's something that's kind of been taken away from a lot of people. A lot of Americans now, 50, 60, 70-year-olds, are afraid their kids will not have the same kind of life opportunity dreams that they did. But that's not the case. It's because they don't have the plan in place because our education system has sort of squeezed the hope and life and dreams out of the middle class and out of the kids that have gone through a Marxist-based education system. Well, our goal is to kind of inject good ideas into that place and wake up the minds of the American people, because there are blueprints and plans that our forefathers said, hey, this is what we are about, the opportunities to free speech, protect yourself, and pursuit of life, liberty, and happiness. Nobody helps that happen better than the author of the book, How to Build a Successful Business, the one that only Mr. Clay Clark. Yeah! There he is.
Welcome.
Greetings
Right
from Tulsa, Jerusalem. Greetings from Tulsa, Jerusalem. How are you guys?
Oh, man,
Great.
fired up to get you on, man. I love, this is like one of my favorite segments all week.
I know.
If I'm going to be on a long car ride, I can download a bunch of video content. My favorite stuff is the kind of stuff we get to talk to you about every week. I love it. I get so excited. Free markets, capitalism, starting business. I get so fired up. I'm fired up.
No, we didn't actually have the opportunity to speak with you last week because you actually had a business conference. Talk about the business conference that happened in Tulsa last weekend.
Well, I had 3 highlights that were just awesome. One is the Secret Service ran into one of our attendees who was attempting to pee in the woods, and that really happened. And
I love that.
Interesting moment. That was kind of a reverse highlight. You go, wow, that just happened. The second thing is the President of the United States, his son, Eric Trump, he came and spoke at the event. And really, we talked about time management, branding, following up, like maniacally following up with the people who work with you. We talked about how he hires people, why he doesn't read resumes when hiring people, how he looks for great energy, his attention to detail, checklists. We did an entire segment on checklists and linear workflows. I mean, it was great. But the ultimate highlight for me is a man by the name of Dr. Zellner was my wife's first boss. And some of your listeners might know this. My wife was 18 years old. She worked at Dr. Robert Zellner & Associates, and she was a test prepper, which is basically the entry-level employee there. And I would pick her up from work dressed like I was a member of the Wu-Tang Clan, but I wasn't a member of the Wu-Tang Clan. I was starting my company, DJConnection.com, and I used to beg her boss to meet me for lunch. And eventually he lowered his standards. He said yes. And this man became a big mentor in my life. And when my father died from Lou Gehrig's disease, Dr. Zellner called me and he said, "Hey, do you need a dad?" And I said, "I absolutely do." And he says, "Well, you got one. You got one. Sorry, I'm not better, but you got one." And he's been my dad since my dad passed. And so Eric calls me up and says, "Hey, can I take your kids out to dinner on Thursday night? I'm in town getting ready for the event tomorrow. Can I take your kids to dinner?" I said, "No problem, sir. I'd be honored." So we go out to dinner. And we had a great time, and a lot of our conversations were related to Dr. Zellner and the mentorship he provided in my life and to Eric's father. And so Eric was talking about how his dad taught him this, and I was telling him how my dad taught me this, and we had this great conversation. And then at a certain point, I hear the voice of a man who says, "Hey, I'm over here." And I look, and at a restaurant I never go to, Fleming's, and at a restaurant that Dr. Z never goes to, Fleming's, I look back to my left, and Dr. Zellner was behind us listening to the entire conversation.
Wow.
And so after the dinner, I called him just to say, "Man, I'm so glad you could hear that." And I also chastised him for paying for the meal. Eric wanted to pay for the meal, and the waiter said, no, that guy over there paid for it. I called Dr. Z, and he starts crying, saying how proud he was to have seen that happen. And I start crying, and then we're just having this really borderline homosexual crying festival where we're just crying, and it was it was a thing where he's been mentoring me for so long, and I couldn't have scripted it. And to have him sit there with an earshot while he's at a table with his friends listening to us brag on him, I couldn't have scripted it.
Wow.
And it was a really neat thing. And so that's kind of why when you come to these conferences, so many things happen, these worlds collide. And so that next morning when Dr. Z came into the VIP room, I said, "Hey, Eric, that guy there is the guy who paid for our meal last night." And he says, "That's the jerk that paid for our meal?" Well, sir, it's an honor. And those guys became fast friends. And so anyway, the Tulsa King, Dr. Zellner, met Eric Trump, and they really connected in a profound way. And so that, to me, was like one of the highlights of my life, let alone the highlight of the workshop. So it was a real powerful moment.
Wow.
And I don't know, that was my highlight. And so now Eric and I are doing this virtual book tour, Dave, where we're going around on various podcasts talking about the book we did together called
We got some images of that. I want to put it up because this thing blew up. It's kind of interesting because you always kind of compare things. You don't know what's good or what's bad. But Kamala Harris put out her 107-day book recently. And it's interesting, she's kind of throwing shade on her former boss, and I don't know what necessarily the goal is. I think that's just kind of an exit strategy for those guys to make money. Eric Trump's donating the proceeds of his book to Turning Point, but he's also, posterizing Kamala Harris, dunking over, shorts in the face, kind of slam dunk comparison. His book is #1 on Amazon in multiple categories, Under Siege by Eric Trump. And for me, it kind of highlights everything patriots have gone through the last few years of President Trump kicked off social media, lawsuits, lawfare, arrested, mugshot, all these things. What was it like being in the family? And then he shares those real stories of what it's like, processing there. it's encouraging to me to see Americans respond to this book in such great numbers, and to see him in a place where, Donald Trump's won a bunch of these lawsuits. I think one of them he's donated to this, and another lawsuit he turned the money into something else. But these guys, they steward what God's given them so well. Proceeds going to Turning Point. And you guys are even doing a drawing to be able to spend time with Eric for people who have purchased this book and have sent you a text.
Well, okay, this is kind of fun. So, by the way, big shout out to our team. Our team did the book cover of this book. Our
Looks
team
so
did a
good.
lot of the editing of the book. My wife and I we're working feverishly to edit this thing, and it's a powerful book. It's broken into 3 parts. So, part 1 is it's Eric being raised by his dad. People always want to know, what was it like being raised Trump? So, it takes you through the apprentice years, and he tells you why his father wanted to keep him, and I'm quoting, poor and busy. His dad wanted to keep him poor and busy at all times. So at the age of 11, his dad sent him to the construction site. Phase 2 of the book is like, wow, what happens once your dad decides to run for president and you're supposed to run the organization at the age of 33? And then phase 2 is Under Siege, the Mar-a-Lago raid, the assassination attempt. It's a real page turner. And so I told Eric, I said, Eric, I've been to Mar-a-Lago. And when I walk in, I'm always afraid I'm going to break something because it's such a precious place where there's like everything there is high quality. The artwork is it's priceless artwork. And so I always find myself wanting to wear a helmet and cover myself in bubble wrap and stand in the middle of the room and just avoid touching anything. Because if I were to break anything, I don't want to break it. So I'm there and I go, Eric, if we could get everybody an opportunity who supported you through the flyover movement, through the reawaken movement, if we could give them all a chance to come to Mar-a-Lago to spend an afternoon with you and I here, I think that would be a life-changing thing. And he's like, well, my man, let's do it. And so for anybody who texts my phone number, and my phone number is 918-851-0102, 918-851-0102. For anybody who needs to see that written with a Sharpie marker to kind of capture the inner homeless sort of energy here. This is the kind of, if I was a homeless man, this is what I would do. 918-851-0102. I got to get a piece of cardboard to write my number on. 918-851-0102. Anybody who texts that number, it's also at the bottom of the screen. If you text that number, if you text a proof of purchase of the book, you are entered in for a chance to win a trip to Mar-a-Lago with Eric and I. Also, you have a chance to win a backstage pass to the upcoming business workshop in Anaheim, California, December 4th and 5th. So you can meet Eric twice, once in Anaheim, December 4th and 5th, once at Mar-a-Lago. And if you're saying, I'm watching this and I'm in a tight spot financially, you can text into that number. And because it's a drawing, and that's the way drawings and the rules and regulations work, you're entered in for a chance to win, even if you don't buy a book. But Dave, we have to beat Kamala's book. So again, you can help defeat Kamala one more time, and you can support Eric, and you can support Turning Point. You just text that number. But again, if you're in a tight spot, you can simply text in. You say, well, what do I text in? You just text the number and just put enter to win. And boom, you're entered in to win. And we're going to do the drawing on October 14th. So October 14th, that's 12. That's what I'd say within a couple weeks, depending upon when this comes out. October 14th, we're giving away the drawing. It's going to be life-changing. Dave, the thought of it, the first time I went to Mar-a-Lago, the profundity of walking in there and going, what life choices did I make that allowed me to trick certain people to lower their standards to allow me into this lobby? And I thought, Dave, I thought I'm not going to get past the lobby. I know they're going to kick me out at any moment. I can feel it because you have to go through years of security.
Probably should have.
It's a life-changing thing, Dave. It's a life-changing thing.
Well, there's stacks of wins there. One, if you buy this book, proceeds go to Turning Point. That's fantastic. That's a win. That's something you're passionate about. Number 2, well, I know that in reality, most people don't read the books that they buy. And this is still a great looking book to have on your shelf, to have on your coffee table. It's a good looking book. So it'll make you look more aware and smarter than you really are. That's a win. Number 3, anytime that you could help someone posterize Kamala Harris, that's another win. So that's money well spent, as well. So there's stacks of wins there. And then number 4, if you could win a trip to go to Mar-a-Lago. I don't know what Mar-a-Lago looked like. I've never been there. If you're in a really nice house in Missouri, that means they have bigger chainsaw art than people that are struggling. If you're struggling, you have small chainsaw art like a little eagle. If you're prosperous, you got life size bears that say welcome.
You really did say that the other day. We were driving past the house and it had this big old sign that says welcome to the Webster's house or something. Like along the thing that says, man, Webster's are doing well.
They're doing well.
They're doing well. This giant Webster sign. Dad's
those guys are.
I got to tell you.
They're crushing it.
Stacey, I got to tell you, this is funny. We're there and my wife is taking photos of all the ornate artwork and she's just loving it. Okay. And so when you're with Eric, you got to understand that if you're around Eric Trump, you're kind of like you're an extra in a Happy Gilmore movie. That's kind of what it feels like. And so I'm visiting Eric, and he said, hey, brother, can we meet for breakfast to go over ABC 1, 2, 3? I said, sure, let's meet for breakfast. So Vanessa's like, okay, off to breakfast you go. So I'm off to breakfast, got my breakfast, Dave, I got my breakfast jeans on, got my breakfast sport coat, which is the same thing I wear every day. Yeah. So I walk in, and Eric's like, hey, if you want to meet my buddy over here, Greg, I'm going to grab some food. You want to meet Greg? I said, sure. So I'm talking, and Greg's got this accent, and he feels important, but I don't know the game of golf very well. Turns out that's the shark. So I'm having breakfast with the shark, Greg Norman.
Greg Norman, yeah.
Guy, and I'm like, that's interesting. And then the other guy,
he's so good at golf, I've heard of him.
Yeah.
The best compliment you can get as a golfer, if David White has heard of you. Same as like, if you're a supermodel, I know your name, that means you're like the best ever.
And everybody there is much more important than me, So I'm looking around, and it's like, so I'm talking to the guy who's running the property, and he's like, hey, do you want to meet Mr. Akon? And I'm going, what? Because I can't even handle what's happening. It's like you're in a Happy Gilmore movie. It's just extras everywhere. And it's like, yeah, well, he's over there if you want to meet Mr. Akon. And I'm going, whatever. Because the whole place, it's Mar-a-Lago, it's $2 million to become a member. If you get approved, it's $2 million. It's the most exclusive property on the planet. And when you're there, just the people watching is, you go to the mall, you people watch, you go to the fair, you have regrettable people watching.
Now you're talking.
People of Walmart, it's really dark place to go to, watching the people of Walmart at 2 a.m. Mar-a-Lago, it's like the who's who. It's just a great place to be. Last time I was there, Dan Scavino walked by, and I'm like, what? That's Dan Scavino. I mean, if you're a Trump fan, MAGA, Make America Great Again, that is like the mothership of conservative thought.
Wow. So cool. And so you guys are doing a giveaway for people that text 918-851-0102, 918-851-0102. Text proof of purchase. Show them that you got the book, Under Siege, coming. That is like the quadruple whammy of awesomeness by getting it.
Or like Clay said, if you're like, okay, I'm in a tight spot financially, you can still text that same phone number for a chance to win. 918-851-0102.
That's a hack around, but you really should get the book. Like that, the book's an important thing
Absolutely.
to get.
It's a drawing, so I'm required to say that. It's a drawing, so I'm required to say, you can't make it.
He has to read the legalese. I can look you guys in the camera and say, get the book. We'll
have the link down below. You want to get it on Amazon, though, because then you can be helping in the posterizing of Kamala Harris. I want to get into the business stuff with you, Clay.
Yes.
I want to give you a quote. I know you're gonna bring up Jim Rohn here in a minute. A lot of people have heard of Tony Robbins. We were just with Tony Robbins recently in Florida with Patrick Bet-David, and he's amazing. He's still built like an NFL defensive lineman. He's shockingly large man, big head, big guy.
Physically large, and then just takes up the room.
His presence, fills a room. An amazing guy. But he got his start when he was like 18, flipping overhead transparencies with Jim Rohn, and obviously, he packaged it and did more smoke and mirrors and things than Jim.
Dancers.
Jim
didn't have any dancers.
Yeah, Tony Robbins, about every 15 minutes, he has these 3 hype dancers with spirit fingers come out behind him. They play some music. He's got it all going on. He's kind of a mix of like motivation and circus all at the same time.
Keeping you entertained, changing the state.
There's a quote from Jim Rohn. People were coming to me like, man, Tony's filling stadiums. He's doing all this stuff. He has these fire walks that are unbelievable. And they're asking Jim Rohn what he thought about his former mentee doing the fire walks. And he goes, that's impressive. I told Tony, though, if he really wanted to take it to another level, he should try water. They'll come from miles around if he does the water walk.
And be talking about you thousands of years later.
Yeah.
It's like he had those kind of like subtle wisdom things that kind of brought things back to their base of like, okay, that's impressive. Jesus is even more impressive, and walking on fire is amazing. Water is even more impressive, and Jim Rohn's probably one of the biggest influences in my life, so I'm glad that we're going to bring him up today.
Well, I want to say this real quick. You talk about big goals. I'm a little bit more of a myopic, small goal kind of guy. I'm much like you guys. I mean, I love buying gold and silver. Take a quarter of your wealth, you buy gold and silver, folks. I'm telling you. People are saying, Clay, can you believe gold's at 3,900 or silver's headed to 50? Actually, I can. And you just take a quarter of your wealth and you just non-emotionally, you buy precious metals. That you should be doing that. And by the way, you should schedule a consultation with the precious metals dealer of choice here for the flyovers. You should do that. But I want to make sure you get this idea. The only moment you have is now. So once you get that, the only moment you have is now. And I have a theory. I believe this, and this might be dark, might be fun, might be exciting. Who knows? I tell my kids this every day. I believe today's my last day. That's how I view the world. So, because every day you have is a gift from God, and what you do with it is a gift to God. So I sent your producer a video clip. I think she's got it pulled up there, but there was a 15-year-old girl who came to one of our workshops 6 months ago. Her name is Sophia, Sophia. She's sitting next to her mom, Karime, Carime, Karime. She says, Mom, we listened to this crazy pale guy's. She probably said it differently, but we watch this crazy pale man on his show every night. We watch him. He talks about all success. We see people doing it. We should start a cleaning service, Mom. And the mom's like, I don't know. I don't know. We can talk about it. She's like, Mom, let's do it. And so 6 months ago, they started the business. And they hired us to be a consultant. You say, well, what does that mean? They're paying us $1,700 a month to coach them, to grow their business, to coach them down the path. We're doing the website, the photography, the video, everything. And we did an interview, and in this video clip, I think they talk about it a little bit, but they are now bringing in 7 times more money than they're paying me. So think about it. What if you paid somebody $1,700 a month and you could bring in $100,000 a month of revenue? That would be a great deal.
Yeah.
Imagine you paid somebody $1,700 and you're bringing in $3,400 of profit. That would be a great, that'd be 2 times. Imagine you paid somebody $1,700 and you're bringing in $4,500. That'd be about 3 times. They're bringing in 7 times more revenue than they're paying us. And they were the stars of the workshop. So you had
good.
Eric Trump, and people were like, Eric Trump, that guy's awesome. Where's that girl? Because there's something amazing about a 15-year-old girl on the mic without a ego saying to you, well, I work, my mom and I, she's homeschooled. She's like, we're working 70 hours a week, and we're just following the plan, and it's a little scary. People are like, well, how did you get over your fear of making calls? And she's like, I didn't. I just call them. I call the leads. But to have a 15-year-old talk to you about how to have success. So I wanted to play, if we could, a little 60-second clip, because these are real people seizing the real day. And I believe that they actually listen to the Flyover Conservatives podcast. So here we go.
Wow.
My name is Karime Schofield, and the name of our company is Whistle While You Clean.
I am Sophia Schofield.
We live in Cincinnati, Ohio, and we service the tri-state, so Kentucky, Ohio, Indiana.
We were getting a phone call, and we were like, why is someone calling our business line? That's unusual, and we picked it up, and it was a lead.
I mean, it's been incredible, Clay. We've gone from 0 to 100% growth. We're like a full functioning company. It's great. We're blown away at how well we're doing. So working with you guys have really taught us a lot about generating leads and pursuing our Dream 100. So we have a list of customers that we want to market to. And so we've been making phone calls, we've been showing up in person. We're trying to get near the businesses that they would visit if they were visiting like a hair salon or something. And then we start calling them and we just start pursuing them. And then the other thing that we do is when we do cleans, we take a lot of video testimonials and we post those to our website so other customers can see. And then we also upload a lot of images of the things that we do. And so we're also asking our clients for Google reviews after we've cleaned their houses. And so it's this constant cycle of doing those things over and over and over again. I would say if you're on the fence, go to one of Clay's conferences. They are hilarious. They're fun. They're educational. They're so good that even my teenagers like them. And I would say don't let fear hold you back. If you want to start a business, do the obvious thing and hire someone who knows how to run businesses. If I wanted to get in shape, I'd hire a gym person, a personal trainer. This is like the personal training for business. It has been absolutely amazing. I mean, our coach is encouraging. When he first met with us, he said, do we want him to be like a drill sergeant with us? What level of intensity do we want him to give us? And I will say he is incredibly encouraging all the time. And he just hits the same mark with us every single time. It's very repetitive. But I think we both really learn a lot every time we sit down and have a conversation with him over the phone. He keeps pushing us to go further, and he can recognize when we're afraid to do something and he'll give us a little bit of grace, but that next week he's drilling us again, pushing us to go harder. Our no-brainer offer is we are offering your first clean for $1. And that sounds absolutely insane. It even sounded insane when I was talking over it with our business coach. And I will tell you that that has generated some of our hugest clients. I mean, that has been like a game changer because it opened up the door to more clients, more recommendations, more leads. And we were surprised how far that dollar clean got us.
Wow, that is so encouraging. What a beautiful mother-daughter there, and so exciting how much of an impact your coaching has made on their business.
Huge.
That is phenomenal. Went from nothing to 100% increase.
And I tell you this, Stacey, I called him and I said, listen, I want you guys to come to Tulsa for the upcoming conference. And I want you to get up there and talk about how you're doing. And I'll interview you. And the mom's like, we're not famous. We're not podcast people. I'm like, I know. And that is what you need. And
Yes.
that's what connects the dots for people. We have Troy Spurl, who this is a humble doctor in Minnesota, very smart, by the way. And he came and talked about how he's implementing the systems, and it encourages people. Charles Kolaw, he looks like Mr. Clean, but he got up there and talked about how he really struggled to gain traction until he implemented these systems. And so if you're watching today's show, I've got 4 things I want to teach you, and I encourage everyone to take notes because taking notes is better than not taking notes. And it also creates a neural pathway. A neural pathway is like a path in your mind. When you take notes, it causes you to remember a lot more effectively. So 1, seize the day. The time will never be just right. You must act now. Napoleon Hill, best-selling author. I named my son after this person. People say, wow, that must have made a big impact on you. Yes. I really want to name my son Dave. Aubrey, Napoleon Hill, Jim Rohn is the man, Clark. But my wife said, you got to stop it because it's Napoleon-Hill. I'm not kidding. I wanted to do like multiple middle names, like one of those African names. My wife's like, you have to make it stop.
Wait,
So
look
I'm
like
okay,
an
fine.
NFL player.
Yeah, exactly.
People always ask me now. They say, why is your son named Napoleon Hill? I said, because that's the book that changed my life. You understand, like, poverty is a mindset. It is a path. It's contagious. And I decided at the age of 14, I'm going a different way. And Think and Grow Rich is the book that got me unstuck.
Wow.
Now, these three action steps I want to teach you. You become the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Mm-hmm. So at this last conference, it's a crazy deal. I have a guy that I had to fire for very non-ceremonious reasons a decade ago. He came to the last workshop. I did not know he bought a ticket. And he came to the conference. He came up to me, tears in his eyes. He says, hey, I really screwed up. And I go, what do you mean? He goes, and I go, hey, it's all good, man. Let's hug it out. And he's like, are you serious? I'm like, yeah, we're good, man. And but he worked in an office where success was contagious. And he thought, what I'm going to do? I'm going to try to hire your teammates away from you and go start my own thing. And he did it, and he failed. And he failed in a bad way. He lost his marriage, lost his business, lost a lot of stuff. And he kind of came back, prodigal son moment, and was like, hey, man, I said, hey, I don't know if I feel comfortable coaching you, but you know what? I forgive you. And I'm just telling you, he left the conference. We had unbelievable, very, very intentional conversation we had at the VIP dinner. And he was just like, man, I really needed to be around people that make money in a legit way. And he started telling me about some of the businesses. Dave, you got into that weed space, trying to make money selling weed. And he tried to make money to get rich quick. And he goes, the people I've met here, everyone I talk to believes in the concept of the win-win. And he's like, that was a big thing he used to always talk about, is you have to have a win-win. And Colton, I want to get your thoughts on this, because if I'm watching the Flyover Conservative show, there's the triple win. What? 1, I learned something that's relevant that I can apply to my life. That's the Flyover Conservative show. So I benefit as a viewer. Second, as hosts, when you meet these people at these in-person workshops in December, and they shake your hand and they say, we watched the Flyover Conservatives broadcast. There's no amount of money you can't buy that kind of feeling you have when you meet somebody who watches you on a nightly basis, who appreciates what you're doing. And then the third is your show sponsors. They all benefit by gaining new customers. So to me, it's the ultimate win-win. But if you guys weren't creating a win-win, you probably wouldn't want to meet your actual viewers. But Colton, how does it feel when you meet your viewers who've been buying gold from your sponsor for 3 years, say, hey, dude, silver's at 50, gold's almost at 4,000. I love your show. How does it feel to meet those people?
Oh, it's the best, man. We got to talk to one last week. She was had a question and fired off into our world about something that she was working through. And so we just called her, and I was like, hey, how's it going? She was telling us, a little how she found the show, and she watches the Prophetic Report every single week, which is a great audience we got with the Prophetic Report people. But as we were talking to her, she's like, man, and I love Dr. Kirk. I am so thankful we moved over some of our IRA money into silver, and we're just so thankful for that, because that is it's doubled. We were talking to Dr. Kirk yesterday, and he was talking about most of his clients now are up, 70%, 80%, 90%,
Wow.
over the course of the time that they've been working with them. A lot of people that transfer over every single month, a percentage of their income into gold and silver, and just super thankful. But every time we get to meet people, I'm excited to ask, are you working with Dr. Kirk? I'm so excited to ask, are you working with Clay Clark? Is he coaching your businesses? Is he working with you on that? Is he inspiring you? Are you because everyone that we bring onto the show is somebody we've vetted. We love these people. These are friends of ours. These are people that we're like, if people worked with these people, they'd be better off because they're with them. My brother-in-law is driving to Tulsa as we speak right now to come work with you again, because every time he's down there next to you, his business booms and he does better, and he's been working with you now for a year, and his business is absolutely booming. So every time we get somebody in your sphere, in Dr. Kirk's sphere, in the people we bring on, their worlds are better. It's that win-win-win situation. And if it wasn't, you're exactly right. I would launch these shows from a basement I'd never leave, because I wouldn't want to actually meet anybody that did interactions. But I get excited every time we get to talk to flyover listeners, because their lives are better from our show and from the people that we bring onto the show.
I want to just say this to make sure I want to make sure I'm communicating effectively, because I know I could improve in this area. I try to because what happens is if you get off a show and you're motivated but you don't know what to do, it's a bad show.
Yeah.
So one is the time will never be just right. You have to act now. That's the big idea. But underneath that, you will become the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. You will be. And so back to this former employee. I mean, he was so touched. He goes, the people I've met here are the best. And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, God, I just really screwed that up. And I'm going, yeah. But he'd gone down a dark path. He's recalibrating. I get it. But the Bible says, again, a man, in Proverbs, it talks about, for a companion of fools shall suffer harm. It's so important you surround yourself with good people. Pro tip number 2 here. If you really want something, Jim Rohn says, if you really want something, Jim Rohn, I'm quoting him, he says, if you really want to do something, you'll find a way. If you don't, you'll find an excuse. Let me try that again. If you really want to do something, you'll find a way. If you don't, you'll find an excuse. Now, I'm going to tell you a story that's a little bit crazy, but it's true. A man by the name of Eric Trump sent me over his book to edit. And I said, Eric, I'll get it done. Now, I got it to Dave. I booked a lake weekend. I was taking my kids to the lake on a Saturday. And I said, I'll get it done. And I needed to get it done, edited by Sunday night. And so I said, I'll get it done. So the first thing I said, I'm going to get it done. Someone should write that down. The first thing I said, I'm going to get it done. So what I did is we went to the lake, had a great time. I went to bed at 9, as I normally do, 9 p.m. But I went ahead and set my alarm for midnight. So my alarm goes off at midnight, 3 hours after I went to bed. And I got up and I edited the book nonstop until my kids got up at 9 a.m. And I'm just editing. And then I took the kids on the lake. We had a great time. And so we did that. The kids come back. We return the boat. We do all the things we do at the lake after dinner. And I'm like, got to edit. So edit. Go to bed at 9. Set the alarm again at midnight. 3 hours again. Edit. Just sitting there editing, just like, oh my gosh, it was a lot of black coffee. Just go. It's a great book, by the way, but edit. Then I sent it back to him because I said I would. Yeah. Because if I commit to something, I'm going to do it. So someone you're watching today's show, you need to hear this. If you go to thrivetimeshow.com, you will find a way to get to Anaheim, and that's the first test. Will you find a way to get to Anaheim for the upcoming business workshop? That church found a way to stay open during the lockdowns. That's Influence Church. That's how I met the pastor. I stayed open. I found a way to stay open during the lockdowns, my businesses. I found a way to turn my building into a church during the lockdowns, and he found a way to keep Influence Church open. And so this very resourceful, very resilient, Hebrews 10:25, don't forsake the gathering kind of pastor, First Amendment, we have the right to peaceably gather kind of pastor. Pastor Phil says, Clay, I want to host this event in California. Could you call Eric? I want to do one in California. I know you always host them at your office, but could you do it? I think people would love to go to California, warm weather in December. So I called Eric. I said, Eric, when are you going to California next? Because he goes to his properties often. He said, well, the date I've committed to is this day, but we could move it to that day, and thus I will already be there. Could we do it that date? I said, absolutely. So we moved the date to California. Eric moved his schedule around. I moved my schedule around. We found a way. And Dave, we offer tickets where you can name your price. So it's $250. If you use promo code FLYOVER, you get a discount. You also have a chance to win a backstage pass to our events. You get discounts off of VIP tickets. But you have got to, folks, you can name your price if you're in a tight spot financially. But you can't say, to quote Yoda, there's no try. There's just do. You can't say, I'll try. I'll try. Yoda said, there is no try. There's just do. You can't be the kind of person that says, I'll try to come out to the event. Try, I will. You can't. You got to get there. You got to find a way
So
you have to get there. Dave, you have to commit to go. Dave, you know what I'm talking about. Someone has to drive there. Someone has to fly. I drive. Dave, but you have to commit to doing it.
Yep.
Well, the first thing you do is decide that that's going to happen, and then you just fill in the gap and make it happen. And you're talking earlier about the association of the 5 people. A lot of people are in a tough spot, and they'll complain. They come home at night, man, all the people at the salon I work at, or all the people at the car dealership, and all the other realtors, they are, the environments they're in are incredibly toxic. You have great speakers at this event: Julie Green, Eric Trump. There's so many. They're going to be, Dr. Stella Emanuel, a lot of other business owners. There's going to be great people. Michael Levine. I mean, it's just unbelievable who all is going to be there. But you're in a room of people who had the same questions, the same desires. Some are maybe 2 or 3 rungs on the ladder higher than you, but you're in a room. Every single 100% of the people in the room are that one exceptional person at their real estate office, at their hair salon, at their car dealership in Ohio, in Nevada, and wherever else, that all came there for that event. So people want to rapidly change that level of association. It's those relationships, not just the speakers, it's the people in the room and what you take on that scent. Like if you're in a smoky environment, you come home smelling smoky. If you're in a success-filled environment, you come home and your normal is just different. You can't unsee what you saw. So it's the fastest way to change your 5 people that you could ever possibly have.
So true.
Super true.
If you're watching this, folks, I'm telling you, if you are an entrepreneur, if you want to be, this is what you have to go to. Dave, we had over 40 client success stories at the last event. I know this because I enumerate them. And so I'm bringing up the 41st highest earning insurance agent in America. I said, can you come up here to talk about your story? This guy started out no success. He was one of the thousands of insurance agents that wasn't making money. Now he's the 41st highest earning insurance agent. He was at the event. Michael Levine, the guy, this is the PR consultant of choice for Michael Jackson, for Prince, for Pizza Hut, for Nike. Mind you, he's dyslexic. He can't read. And I'll never forget the first time I interviewed Michael Levine, best-selling author who can't read, who's represented more Grammy Award winners than any other public relations firm ever. I said, Michael, how did you start your firm? He said, well, Clay, there's 3 phases. Phase number 1, you call people and you offer to work for free. And I'm going, okay. You just cold called everyone. He said, I literally cold called every celebrity and volunteered to work for free. He says, step 2 is you're building this reputation. You build the reputation. And he says, step 3, that's when you get the compensation. And I said, wow, this is a powerful lesson. I said, Michael, so how much would it cost me if you could teach me PR? I want to come to Santa Barbara. I'll pay you, sir. What is it? He says, $25,000 for 3 hours.
Wow.
It's a chunk of change.
$8,000 an hour. I said, really? He goes, I'm in the compensation phase, my friend.
Right.
I like this story. That's how much I paid him. I paid him $25,000 to meet him for 3 hours. So the stuff that he's going to teach, he's going to talk to you about branding, logos, marketing, the whole, it is hot. So again, this event is going to be next level. Now, the final thing with the limited time we have, I want to teach this 3rd principle. And this is big, and I'm going to say it 2 different ways. I'll quote 2 different Jim Rohn quotes, the same idea though. Okay. Jim Rohn says, we all suffer one of 2 things, the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. Hello. Discipline, this is Jim Rohn quote, discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment. Discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment. So what I'm talking about is discipline. And that's a big part of what I do in my business. And I'll tell you a story that's really funny and kind of toxic, but it's real. We had about 3 years ago, we had a client that wanted us to do some website edits that were beyond our normal scope of work. And so I gathered some of the video web people, and I said, here's the deal. And every once in a while, some people who still work here remember this moment. But I said, here's the deal. This meeting we start our meetings at 5:50. We'll just stay in this meeting until noon or until noon tomorrow, but we're not leaving until we have the answer. And everybody was pissed. They're like, well, I can't. What do you mean? And so it's like 8 a.m. It's 9. I go, tell your, if you wanted this job, you're not leaving until we have the solution. And we figured it out. And it had to do with, they had a card reader, this client, where they were uploading video clips, and the card reader itself was corrupt. And so we kept thinking it might be YouTube, it might be the video editor, it might be the website, it might be the server. And it was just they had a corrupt card, but we had to go through and test everything. We had to test the uploader, we had to test the website, had to test, you get all the nerdery. But I'm saying is I'm just like, we are not going to end today until, so as my team's testing everything internally, I call the client and I go, can you put that video on a different card? Let's try that. And they're like, oh man, I guess I left that thing in my car and it overheated. And I'm just telling you, it's that kind of intensity or intentionality that's needed to have success. You've got to be disciplined. You've got to commit to, I am going to get this done. So the reason why I have my staff meetings at 5:50 in the morning is because the people that can't handle it won't ever work here. You see what I'm saying? It starts at 5:50. People are like, 5:50. I don't even know if 5:50 has anyone ever in the history of the world ever been up at 5:50. Is it ethical?
5:50
that comes twice a day.
5:50 p.m. right, not a.m. Yeah,
They got one of those in the morning too.
No, I'm being real. I mean, I'm being real. That's why I do it, because I don't want you working for my organization as a coach if you can't wake yourself up at 5:50. I want to create that culture. So again, if you're watching today's broadcast and you're saying, I want to become successful, I want you to take action, action, action. So go to thrivetimeshow.com, request your tickets right now. We only have 700 tickets left. There's actually 691 tickets left, so 691. 691 tickets remaining for the Anaheim event, December 4th and 5th. It's going to be a packed house. Julie Green, come on, folks. Julie Green, a lot of these attendees were saying, why is a prophet at a business conference? She got up there and talked about God's mindset towards work. She had endless Bible verses about what the Bible has to say about work. It was a phenomenal presentation. Amanda Grace will be in the place. Pastor Dave Scarlett, both Dave and Stacy and your whole family. I'm going to bring you guys up on stage. You'll be talking. Mel Kay is going to be in the house. Dr. Stella Emanuel, Pastor Phil Hotson-Pillar, who, by the way, was a successful attorney before he became a successful pastor. Randy Antrican, a longtime client of mine who grew a business from a startup to, check this out, $17 million company building pergolas and pools and hot tubs. I mean, meteoric success, the 41st highest earning insurance man in the world. I mean, they're all going to be here and more, and you can name your price if you need to. And then finally, housekeeping note, you got to buy Eric Trump's book. And I'm telling you, Dave, Eric, he named his book Under Siege. There was a lot of conversations that went into that. I was not asked by Kamala Harris to name her book, but Dave, I had some ideas that I would have suggested. Eric called me and said, Clay, I'm thinking about calling this book Under Siege. What would you call it? And we talked through it, and we talked through the cover. But Colton, Kamala's team never called me, shockingly, and said, what should I name my book? But some of the things I wrote down, Dave, that would be good titles for, we want to beat Kamala's book right now. We want to beat the book sales. These are titles I would have proposed if asked here. One was things I wrote down when I wasn't drunk.
It's a short book.
That'd be title number one. Title number two is Campaigning While Drunk. Campaigning While Drunk. That's a title. Again, if I had these ready to go, think about that hot title, Campaigning While Drunk by Kamala Harris. I mean, these are things, Dave, I had this written down. How to dance while listening to Q-Tip's Vibrant Thing while campaigning with drunk people. That was a title. And Colton, I had those ready to go, but she never asked. So
never asked.
Only Eric asked. So,
Clay, I'm looking at the sections because you get ranked by section. There's art and philosophy. There's biography and memoirs. There's children's books. There's Spanish books. I'm looking at these sections because you can't rank in all of them. There's one called this is Amazon's list. I didn't know this was a whole section until I started diving into this. There's a section called lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender books, but Eric Trump's book's not even on the list.
Not even in that one.
Of course.
He's not ranking in the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender book section. So he's not going to dominate all of them. But when it comes to the political biography section, I think he will be posterizing Kamala Harris. And
he's crushing me, beating Jake Tapper. This is awesome. Number one, we got to keep him above Jake Tapper. Cannot drop below.
I think if he would have put it Under Siege with a question mark, it could probably rank in that gay, lesbian, transgender section. Under Siege?
A lot of questions. A picture of him with a selfie with Tim Walz. It would have been a crossover smash hit in multiple spirit-fingered sections. So, Clay, thanks for all the work that you do. You make work fun, and
Yes.
I think a lot of people have a bad connotation of work because they've not worked unto the Lord because they've been working in an area where it becomes normal to not do your best. It feels better to do your best and to be doing something with passion that you're excited about. I think everyone is wired to work for themselves to some degree or another, to have some ownership of it, to go home and be exhausted, but realize you're building something for your future. And that is what makes America great. I started with that. You are helping to make America great by helping Americans to do great, to be great, and to have a great business. And thankful for that. Thankful for your work and your conferences that you put on.
I appreciate you guys very much. I want people to know I read books. Dave, you read books all the time. I know, Colton, you read books. Stacy, I'm a book reader, and I can tell you this book, just objectively, it's an unbelievable book if you're a business guy. It's an unbelievable book if you're trying to raise kids. It's an unbelievable book if you're into politics. It's just a real page turner. It's a blasty blast. And I know the Flyover Nation, you always read every book that you buy cover to cover. And this will be the fastest page turner you've ever purchased there, Dave. Thank you so much for your time.
Clay Clark is here somewhere. Where's my buddy Clay? Clay's the greatest. I met his goats today. I met his dogs. I met his chickens. I saw his compound. He's like the greatest guy.
I ran from his goats, his chickens, his dogs.
So this guy's like the greatest marketer you've ever seen, right? His entire life, Clay Clark, his entire life is marketing.
4,000% from February to February. Now I can better that. Okay, Clay, I don't think you know this. I'm pinching myself, and if I cry, forgive me. In the last 2.5 days, we have bettered our entire month of February in the last 2.5 days. So, and the phone's blowing up. Everything's just blowing up. You're right. It is like a rocket ship. So we're pinching ourselves, actually.
I learned at the Academy, Kings Point in New York, acta non verba. Watch what a person does, not what they say.
But I recognized at the age of 15, I'm going, you know what? I am not going to live that way. And so I started a company out of my parents' basement called djconnection.com. And I decided I am going to have success. And so I reached out to millionaires and people that I kind of knew through church and friendships and parents of my friends. And I said, what book would you recommend that I read? I'm a 15-year-old asking this question. True story. And I kept being told, you got to read.
Hello. Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Radio Show. It's an exciting time. Also, I think a treacherous time, a spooky time also. But it's always, danger is a good time. Today, my guest is Clay Clark, and I went out with Tom Wheelwright to visit Clay with Eric Trump also. And the reason I want to talk to Clay this morning is a very important subject called study. And the reason I say that is things are changing so fast, and many people are completely missing the show. Things are changing at rapid speed. Technology is changing. And so I went to Tulsa, again, with Tom Wheelwright and Eric Trump. And the thing I was so impressed about Clay is this word called study. I don't know, you guys must be in your water or something, Clay, but boy, I was so impressed how big you guys are. But what really impressed me was you have this huge congregation. They're all about guys your age. They're on fire. And you start your classes at 5 a.m. Now, let me talk to you about study here. We show our books here. Now, this is how I study. This is the creature from Jekyll Island. It's on the Fed. And Clay's doing the same thing. We study. So I go out to Clay's place in Tulsa, Oklahoma. He's built this huge compound out there. And you guys start at 5 o'clock in the morning. It's not by Zoom. They drive there. They show up 5 o'clock, bright-haired, bushy-tailed and all this. And they're on fire. Your group is on fire. So that's why I was on Clay, this technology you tell your group. I was so impressed. Because, like I said, studies became a bad word. I got into fights in my own company because our staff didn't want to study anymore. And I don't know how they cannot do that. So, Clay, anyway, welcome to the Rich Dad Radio Show. That's what I want to talk to you about, is how do you do it? 5 o'clock in the morning, you have hundreds of people showing up in your huge auditorium on your property to study. Anyway, welcome to the show, Clay, and what turns you on so much? That's what I want to know. Give us a little about your background.
My name is Karime Schofield, and the name of our company is Whistle While You Clean.
I am Sophia Schofield.
We live in Cincinnati, Ohio, and we service the tri-state, so Kentucky, Ohio, Indiana.
We were getting a phone call and we were like, why is someone calling our business line? That's unusual. And we picked it up and it was a lead.
I mean, it's been incredible, Clay. We've gone from 0 to like 100% growth. Like we're like a full functioning company. It's great. Like we're blown away at how well we're doing. So working with you guys have really taught us a lot about generating leads and pursuing our Dream 100. So we have a list of customers that we want to market to. And so we've been making phone calls, we've been showing up in person. We're trying to get near the businesses that they would visit if they were visiting like a hair salon or something. And then we start calling them and we just start pursuing them. And then the other thing that we do is when we do cleans, we take a lot of video testimonials and we post those to our website so other customers can see. And then we also upload a lot of images of the things that we do. And so we're also asking our clients for Google reviews after we've cleaned their houses. And so it's this constant like cycle of doing those things over and over and over again. I would say if you're on the fence, go to one of Clay's conferences. They are hilarious, they're fun, they're educational. They're so good that even my teenagers like them. And I would say don't let fear hold you back. If you want to start a business, do the obvious thing and hire someone who knows how to run businesses. If I wanted to get in shape, I'd hire a gym person, a personal trainer. This is like the personal training for business. It has been absolutely amazing. I mean, our coach is encouraging. When he first met with us, he said, do we want him to be like a drill sergeant with us? What level of intensity do we want him to give us? And I will say he is incredibly encouraging all the time, and he just hits the same mark with us every single time. It's very repetitive, but I think we both really learn a lot every time we sit down and have a conversation with him over the phone. He keeps pushing us to go further, and he can recognize when we're afraid to do something and he'll give us a little bit of grace, but that next week he's drilling us again, like pushing us to go harder. Our no-brainer offer is we are offering your first clean for $1. And that sounds absolutely insane. It even sounded insane when I was talking over it with our business coach. And I will tell you that that has generated some of our hugest clients. I mean, that has been like a game changer because it opened up the door to more clients, more recommendations, more leads. And we were surprised how far that dollar clean got us.
How important has it been for you to work out that scripting, even though you offer $1 for the first clean? How important has it been for you to nail that down?
It's been really important because it kind of it hones in so that you're not just all over the place when you're trying to explain what it is that you do. And a lot of times it's like you're a good person offering a good product and you have integrity and you want to communicate that. But when you go to communicate without a script or without practice, it's just like a mess coming out of your mouth, as opposed to having this, honed in practice where you know what you're going to say, you know how you're going to say it, and you can almost expect better results when you do it that way.
Had you ever been an entrepreneur before starting this particular business?
No, never.
Did you ever think about wanting to own your own business someday? Or what was the first time you thought, maybe I would like to open my own business?
Absolutely. I've probably been dreaming about it for about 10 years.
Okay, and let me go to your daughter here. Had you ever thought about wanting to team up and open your own business? Or was that something that you were maybe excited about or not so much?
Well, for me, my parents would always listen to your podcast and business podcast. And as I started listening to them, I started realizing that I wanted to own a business.
It's www.whistlewhileyouclean.com. Honestly, the hardest thing was getting over the fear. It was the fear of the unknown. there was like a cloud of doubt that, you can't do this, you're gonna fail. There was a few sleepless nights there when we did pull the trigger and join your team and start the coaching process. Even my husband put a little bit of pressure on me from time to time because it was just absolutely scary to take that jump and actually start a business.